Hello, everybody, and welcome to Netlink. And today we have a guest on my channel, and this is Sean. Sean is part of the PsionicLeague, and he's here to tell us a little bit about his league and a little bit about himself. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, Sheen?
Sure. Hi, my name is Sean Bond of the PsionicLeague, the founder, and we go into uniting the collective of empowered psionic individuals, which psionics is a military term for a collection of psychic abilities found around the planet, of mind over matter, and making equations for it and making a scientific method so that it's not woo-woo or based on loose things, but things that get results. And I am very passionate about it, and I got to the point where I can witness individuals with different abilities and can reverse engineer their ability, and then I teach other people how to do that type of ability. I do healing. I'm a very good healer. Diagnose people and see what's wrong, and I'm very good at releasing pain. Any type of pain the person's dealing with, I can get rid of. Healing negative emotional wounds, trauma, illness. And I've gotten really good through practicing on targeted individuals, super soldiers, people in the SSP, and to get rid of their targeting, and can make it so that they're able to stabilize their life and not be attacked and have the protection necessary to prevent any new targeting. Because people, when they're highly targeted, they're rare, valuable, they got valuable things. A lot other things want.
So one of the questions that I have for you is, what is one of the steps that people can take in their life to be proactive to start protecting themselves against psychic attacks, parasites, you name it? Like, what is one of the techniques that you mostly teach that can start to help people?
Okay, so a lot of it's through awareness and knowingness, which is hard when you're getting attacked. So I can understand that, but like opening the senses, tuning out the environment, going inward, and then translating the information that comes to you, and then working with it to see what way you can create things to counter. So let's say narrowing down what could attack you. It could be being in a body, human, non-human, many different species, being not in a body like an entity, demon, psychic parasite, etc., and or AI, and etc. So depending on which is how you address it in the category, but a lot of it can be summed up. If they're offending you and harming you without any like recourse or reason, or like you messed with them first, then you're in the right, which means you can align with natural law and the universe as a whole, which is the collective of, and more expanding outward in everything, and get it to back you in you being the force of unity and goodness, and then it empower you to say no and gain up the power to overcome that dark and evil force. Evil does not earn in the system throughout the universe in unity. There's a reward and growth process that rewards those that are doing well and are good and pious and turning their vices into virtues, but with abilities that feel naturally, as you purify yourself and you become your true self, abilities and power generators inside the body feel safe. When there's all this attachment and possession and evil and negative energy, they don't feel safe, so they shut down automatically and keep themselves from being stolen from. So as the safeness grows, people get granted more powers. Evil does not earn their abilities, they steal them because they have them shut down and it doesn't feel safe. So they have to keep taking and harming. So with that, you can pull the rug out from under them by finding where their sources of power are that they're stealing from. And then you can cut them off like a tick, stopping it from gaining blood, and shrink down the parasite as it entangles with you. There's also many different methods, such as if you're not in a state of being able to produce love, which I understand when you're getting attacked with like destruction or death or offense and wounded and pain, then it's hard to create love and joy and things that are the positive, loving pathway that I use more so to resolve these entities now that I'm stabilized. But when you're in that state, then you might need to use the strong arm methods, such as reflecting what they're sending at you back at them, which you can, with natural law, unify with you 3 times it. It is a reversal or redirecting reflection, like with mirror shielding encounter. And you want to analyze what they're sending at you and what type of energy, and then you want to master that. Like if the dark forces of evil are not that creative. They stop. They don't have very high intellectual thought to create new things. So they usually do the same thing over and over again, or at most start combining things together that they get. So it usually sums up as like dark energy, ego energy, shadow, evil, destruction, death, offense, toxins, poisons, the darker forms of energy, or something unique that they stole from a positive being that needs to have it, where they can't shut it down just because it's getting stolen. And you can figure out what that is, make okay, let's see, what kind of things do you experience as an example? So I can I'll build off of that as an example, and then while helping you as well. Or if you're really good, then maybe somebody you know.
I think a lot of people, from what I've been learning from my audience, a lot of them mostly want to figure out one of the reasons is like why they're being attacked.
Sure.
And I think also to see, what was it? Like on the reason why they're being attacked, but also like how to like reflect it back to them in a sense. But my other question is, sorry if I'm backtracking, but so some people might not be used to some of your terminology, but can you a little bit explain a little bit about what natural law is for the audience?
Oh, thank you. And I know you're good at this, so I'd love to hear more on your aspect of it too. That's one of my favorite things. If you understand and like deeply for the audience, ingrain this in your mind. If you understand natural law, you intensify your ability, your power, your growth an outrageous number times what it is now. So it is insanely important. The reason why is because the universe starts to like you, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to give you stuff because you're worthy and I can trust you. So then more starts to unify with you as a whole. So natural law can be really strongly understood through whatever practice you want to create, where it mindfully ingrains the understanding that you are everyone ultimately. You are connected to everything. You are connected to source as a branch. Why harm yourself? So if you are everyone, there's no reason to harm another being. You're just essentially just harming you're burning your finger kind of thing. So it's really hard to remember that too. And especially when we're in drama or ego or big emotions overwhelm us. I had to go through a ton of like reminders and just the overwhelm of emotions, and then remembering in that time. And then with that comes the the wholeness and also the non-blame consciousness, which gets you out of that with great responsibility, you taking up the responsibility and not blaming others for everything that happens. It comes with the power of being able to resolve it very quickly, and then all this knowingness too. But so natural law can be summed up in the golden rule of do no harm, like the feminine, do no harm, masculine, that doesn't get taught well, take no shit, where you're allowed to defend yourself if something incurs on you, like an insane forgetting that it's ultimately you version of aspect that's ultimately you, that's evil and corrupted and overwhelmed or possessed or something. To be able to create boundaries for that, and that you're in the right to be able to protect yourself by whatever force necessary to stop the aggressor. But in the feminine, do no harm yourself to create new karma for yourself in what is ultimately harming yourself. And understanding good and evil is like understanding the polarity of both. In evil is an action that can always be transcended and changed. The person can always become good if they want by stopping action continuance of doing harm to others, which is can be summed up as theft, like theft of life, theft of well-being, theft of their life, theft of innocence, theft, whatever that is against the free will of an individual incurring into the reality bubble. So understanding that and not doing that anymore, you can protect yourself from that happening to you and not have to worry about karma. And then you do this play of having boundaries, but and loving detachment from the negative aspects of attachment of the external world, while going in.
Uh-oh. So we lost Sheen, so we're going to be having a little bit of technical difficulties until he can get back online. But if anybody has any questions or anything until Sean can come back online, let me know. Uh-oh. So yeah, we're just gonna wait until Sean can come back online. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything to ask Sheen and stuff, let me know. Donation links and contact is in my YouTube profile. Donation links are below. We're just gonna wait for a couple of minutes until Sean can come back in and answer some questions.
Hello?
Hello, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. So I have a comment. I have a comment from one of my subscribers that wants to ask a question for you.
Thank you.
So this is from Scotty from one of the comments. He says that he's being heavily attacked for goofing around in Carrie's Cassidy's chat the other day, and he's wondering whether or not spirits are monitoring things or if he's just being attacked because there's so much energy in those type of chat rooms.
Well, I don't know what he did, but I can lay out some options. Yeah, pretty much every on the planet has entity attachment. It's like because we're so not whole. And it's like the process of the school of gaining wholeness and learning and going through suffering and becoming immune to all the things that are thrown at us. So people shouldn't get bent out of shape about any entity attachment and targeting. It's natural to this world. Any lack or stolen parts or missing things, the holes filled in, have entity attachment, which demons, etc. Demons is like the oldest form of psychology and explaining the psyche, which they just like, push out like, no, they just don't exist, or they're all in your head. And there's like, well, there's consciousness, and we're all connected, and there's points when these consciousness come into existence. They sometimes used to have a body, sometimes they're in spirit, sometimes they're attached to the collective unconsciousness, sometimes they're just attached to us. And there's a story behind that. It could be a bunch of things. So there's the aspect of us to take responsibility, and then the external that triggers it. The external that triggers it could be like, they're demons, or things targeting them, or things trying to prevent unity, or things that go after your abilities or your power because you got rare stuff. Things to try to create drama depending on the timing, what was happening, what was being talked about, what might have triggered the targeting, like did they not want you to talk about certain things, or what maybe an indication that you're not a normal person, and then them attaching. Then also depending on what was felt, like is it emotional overwhelm, anxiety, stress, sadness, anger, pain, what part of the body pain also goes into that, and what's being targeted, or whatever else. And then internally, what is the receiver, such as the ego, the shadow, in Carl Jung's shadow, of the box of self-defeating programs inside of us. Any darkness we have within us is usually more have them having power over us ability. Like the more we do shadow work and transmuting those dark stars into and turning them on in light, or transmuting the lead consciousness into gold, then the less power they have over us. So we look to the external triggers, and then we go inward to taking responsibility, and then we find what they have power over, and then we resolve that, and they have less power, and then we transcend that thing, and then we go even higher. I hope that helps. But depending on, I'd have to tune into the individual for more in-depthness of like, oh, what is it, that type of demon? Oh, that's been targeting your whole life, or is it this thing from the chat? And they get targeted a lot. So I recommend with any of this subject, don't take things personally, especially with physical people involved, because a lot of these demons just want to cause disunity, and not everyone's in control of these things. Very little amount of people are like dark sorcerers wanting to just steal from people all the time. A lot of these, even the dark sorcerers, are not in control of their shadow at all. They're like, their shadow is like vampiric and just steals things without them initiating anything. Well, and then that like spurs more drama. But sometimes there are assholes, the dark sorcerers, that do that though. So
yes. So backtracking before you got cut off. So one of the ways that I understand natural law is through karmic law. Mm-hmm. There's like 3 karmic laws, which is treat others the way that you want to be treated, energy in, energy out, and follow the laws of the land which you reside in. For the 3 karmic laws. Then there's also another law, which is known as Chameleon Law, where they show you things of what's to come, and you can either give permission to like accept it to come towards you, or you can say, I do not give you your consent. This is seen a lot in when you deal with imagery, like from artists, like they're like, for people who are into like conspiracy theories and stuff, they'll see like there was little messages along the way, and people were like silently giving consent but not realizing it. So that's mostly like karmic law. But if you're like, I do not consent to this and stuff, that's what a lot of people in the SSP do, is like, I do not consent to that. It sort of like prevents Chameleon Law, because they're like showing you and stuff. You may not know what it is, but they're like, well, I do not give your permission. I don't know if you ever heard about that before.
I haven't heard the term chameleon law. I call it, I have heard of this concept and experienced it. In my experience, it mostly comes up when my visions are quite active, or like for those that don't have visions quite active, but had like psychedelic trips. If they've ever been shown something that's like dark or something, and the thing doesn't need to create darkness automatically and take over the screen. But if we have very little control over how we perceive or interpret, the interpretation will go wildly with whatever that is. Oh, and then create fear automatically as we believe in it, and then build off that. But if we take control over interpretation, like, oh, that's just some shadow that's wanting to integrate or heal, or like it had to look all scary and evil to protect itself, or like whatever, we could start reading what it truly is instead of letting it take over the whole screen and control the TV show. As well as I also go into tacit consent, where like the media and the government likes to put predictive programming into our consciousness by movies and stuff. And then once the fear spurs and it's overwhelming us, we're like, oh, could this be real? Is this true? Why are they showing us this in movies? And then we vote to create it instead of, which is some of the things that the darker forces want to do. They want to create destruction events by getting more of us to agree to us. But it's not necessary to happen. And especially if the whole collective isn't wanting that to happen, it doesn't need to be created in the reality structure. And as well, there's a lot of unseen preventative care that can happen to why that thing isn't here now or will not manifest, that people aren't being shown.
So my other question for you is, one of the things that I've seen is that when people are starting their spiritual journey or their spiritual aspects of themselves or trying to activate their abilities on their own, the one thing that they start to realize is that they immediately start to get attacked and stuff. Do these entities just wait around for people to activate their abilities? And I know that you were also stating, like, what are some of these special abilities that these entities are after?
If you want, I can work with you to get rid of some of your targeting. Do you experience targeting?
As far as I know, the only type of targeting that I get is when I get music playing in my head and it won't shut off. One of the other things is that I might be clairvoyant, but I'm not tapping into my abilities. So I do know that I get a lot of chronic ear pain or like chronic ear problems and stuff. So that's one of the things that I'm dealing with. But I do know that once in a while I do have visions, but I don't get them as often as I used to. But those are some of the things that I deal with.
Okay. Do you get headaches, pain, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, fear, or any other emotional overwhelm?
I used to get headaches a lot, but not as much anymore.
That's nice. Okay, cool. Okay, we can go to ear pain.
But I do end up now getting a lot of back pain.
Okay. Where, lower or upper parts?
Lower back pain.
All right. Like near the tailbone or the sacrum?
It's not the tailbone, so it would probably be the sacrum.
Okay, sacrum. Okay, so I can example. I'll like tune into it, and I'll see if it's okay with being made public before I say anything. So and then you can work on protecting. So with any targeting, like there's like, why are there different ranges of targeting and attack, and why is this my neighbor doesn't experience anything and I do? When a person's getting targeting, usually they have something that's valuable for the targeter to want to go after, because it takes effort and energy to go after. So the more targeting you have, the more valuable you have stuff. And so that's a good empowering thing to hold on to. Though that also goes into, you have to be able to protect that thing. So usually when I track back to make a person abduction proof, make it so that they're not getting negatively abducted by aliens or the military anymore. I track back when the abduction started and what it was triggered by. What awareness sparked their intrigue to have an abduction greater than in the first place? It usually goes back to a rare energy emission, a rare DNA lineage, or ability that the faction has censoring capability for on the planet, and then it's not the ability is not camouflaged enough, so it triggers their senses, and then they get abducted. Oh, like, okay, ear pain. I've experienced that too. It usually goes with the clairaudience. Let me just check on that for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And what aspects? Sensing, yep. Intro. And okay, and what level? Okay, it's detachment. Okay, so yeah, and again, none of this freaked you out because everyone's got attachment in different ways. And as another easy defense mechanism is, as we create joy and happiness and love, this is an automatic positive energy that makes entities rise in frequency very fast. And if they're wanting to remain evil or stealing, then it makes that very uncomfortable. So they detach and let go. So it's an automatic defense that makes them have to get away, or they rise into goodness while they're coming along for the healing journey, kind of thing, if you're healing yourself. So as you create those positive emotions, you're automatically protecting yourself. They need to whittle a person down to a negative frequency so they can get near them and stealing their stuff. Anytime an entity has attachment to somebody, he either has to come in, get in their aura, drill through the layers of protection, they get attached to their body or soul or whatever. They want to get to the soul.
I do know that I have not been getting attacked as much when I was living with my parents. Now that I have my own place and my own stuff, like the targeting and the bads, I guess you want to say the targeting has mostly stopped. So I do know that was being attacked because of the negative energy that my parents had in the house. So I'm not getting as attacked as I was because I'm a lot more, I guess, positive in the sense of what you're talking about. So, which is good. But
yeah, you have more sacred space. You're the authority programming in the area. You have less backdoors. When people live with a lot of people, all of them have to take care of their doors into the space. Otherwise, I think entities will come in through the back doors or through their attachment and mess with the situation. Yeah, I agree. So a lot of people have blocks on telepathy. There's a big overarching predator system and energy harvesting system having to do with
I do like once in a while I do know that I do have telepathy like once in a while. But I remember when I was really younger that it would give me so much bad headaches, absolutely horrible headaches. So I don't know if it's been cut off completely because of my headaches, or if it's just that I'm just not using it enough, so it's not just as active as much. But once in a while, I do get messages once in a while. So I'm just like curious to see if it's still active, or if there's if I have a bunch of entity attachments that I'm not aware of.
I mean, everyone does. So don't, again, feel bad. So I do. I have to keep going through layers. I build up like a fortress, making it stronger and stronger. And as I take back the old, bigger, more powerful abilities, people can just assume if they don't have the bigger, more powerful abilities, which our species has had in the past before falls of civilization, as well as big invasion scenarios where a bunch of demons came in and stole everyone's stuff. If your body's acting like a non-fully active psychic, psionic individual, and they're more suppressed to the equivalence of their body being a paperweight as a computer, then they have beings attached that stole those things. So don't get bent up about it. It's a natural thing, and we're gonna grow and get over those problems and learn how they work and overcome those things. So there's a big energy harvesting, parasitic, stealing system that uses people, and telepathy is one of the abilities that these big predator systems stole for a lot of people, because they need to suppress telepathy to keep us enslaved. Otherwise, we start waking up and communicating and like doing all these things that where revolutions can spur, and it's like not good for them. So it's a very targeted. It's hard to maintain, so you have to have a lot of abilities to protect it. You have a very strong telepathy ability. Unfortunately, it's getting stolen from parts and pieces, as well as the energy is being drained. Sometimes you have the capability where you accumulate enough energy, as well as if a faction of species wants to talk to you really bad, then it gets through. But for most people, it's like white noise and tinnitus, and sometimes like weird little pressures in the ear, and sometimes when it gets overwhelmed, it feels painful or like irritating, where you got to clean it all the time. That's like through attachment and things trying to steal and from the generation that would build up density in it to build psychic structure as a natural process. So they're trying to drain because they don't have the authority to do that, so they got to steal it from us. So once you're able to clear this out and protect it, fortress it, resolve all the predators or banish them and take back your stuff, and then you can start building that up again. You get tinnitus, the ringing in the ear?
Once in a while, but not as bad. It usually gets really, really bad when at night, but during the day, it's not as bad.
It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it can be alert as to get you attention of something if it's a bad thing, but you can start categorizing it, like which ear, which direction, below, middle, or upper part of the ear, all that, to start like applying meaning. Not everyone's the same though, so I can't really give you like, oh, it works exactly like this. It depends on your DNA lineage too, and what's trying to contact you. It's usually something trying to get your attention. It could be something knocking at your door or ringing your phone, and depending on the song, when I get that, it's something trying to contact me, and it applied a ringtone to it, so I can
Yes.
play it better. So like sometimes good beings that have a soul connection to a certain artist, they'll play that song over and over again. And good beings, or a comedy person that, and sometimes like if it's a demon trying to connect to me, it doesn't have to be negative, but it could be using like a song that uses the words in it over and over again. Or it could just be trying to annoy the shit out of you or piss you off. And even with that, like, love it and shrink it down. And then another thing is the ego uses songs internally as a survival amplification method of remedy of all the other shit it's dealing with in attachment, as like a supportive method, if it's a song you like, usually. And then to resolve all the other attachment, and then that resolves it, and the last thing that remains is the song, and then you can finally go into silence of the mind, which is nice.
So I have a question from one of my subscribers. It's Scotty again. He says that he gets tinnitus, but it changes frequencies like a fax machine. Do you know what that is, or like what's it doing? And also the other question is, what is some of the best, I guess, shielding techniques or protection stuff that people can start to work on for themselves, or start to look into of how to like protect themselves or shield themselves from these different entities or attacks?
So I usually, again, need to tune more into the person, like as a client, to get exactly what is going on with them. But as my super consciousness can interpret from the question as best I can, I would say if that happens, it's usually something trying to contact them in a positive way, trying to be like, can you hear me now? How about now? How about now? This one, frequency, what gets through? Because there's a lot of blocks.
Yes, it's like that commercial, like that old commercial from like AT&T and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that block. But even with the blocks, we can, if we get in a really meditative, going inward state, it's kind of like see yourself as a TV or a radio receiving a signal, and you're opening up that signal kind of like an optic cable, and you're bringing it into your empathic heart eye, as if all the abilities are one, including clairaudience, clairvoyance, etc. And you're interpreting and trying to get it translated in that daydreaming sense that plays out in which is ultimately vision. But like people more easily go into vision when they're daydreaming. They just kind of like start imagining something, and then it creates and it gets more vivid in HD, especially if they close their eyes. And then that builds up, allowing it to flow and come in. It wants to give you its own vision. So if you get out of the way of it and let it translate, it will start giving you information, possibly even a being showing up in a room that wants to talk to you, and then have a walkie-talkie conversation back and forth of reception and projection. And then you said shielding, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can go into this greater in depth in session. So feel free to hit me up at SionicLeague.com or SionicLeague at Gmail if you want to get really well protected.
His website and contact info is in the description if you want to book a session with Sean.
Thank you. So there's certain things we can generate out of our body, and some things with different people, they generate more types of energy than others. So depending on what they're very good at, and then the process that I teach of how to get other things to generate, such as shielding, protection, offense, defense, fortressing, safety bubbles, loving detachment, things like that I can teach, is how much you're able to protect yourself, and reversal and resolving the energy that's coming at you, and then being able to translate it, and then turning that into a power, because everything they send at you, you can master, and then you become a proficient at it. It's like, oh, you're sending death energy at me? Just as long as you stop it from hurting you, it's like, wow, this is valuable, thank you. And then you can turn it into something cool, and then you can master death, which is very useful in like life extension, or being immune to things that would want to kill you.
One of the questions that I get is sorry, I'm backtracking, trying to look at the comments here. So some people, and I have noticed this, that entities like to attach to people's backs. Is that like a soft area, or like an area where they frequently try to attach to people's on their back?
Yeah. People notice it less. They put it off of, it's back pain. I was lifting things today, or you can't reach it easily. It depends on also where, like in the spinal cord, or different vertebra mean different things. Each of them have an energetic node and system and portal and chakra linked to them, and some cool stuff in the mystery school of cerebral spinal fluid and rare energies and forces and kundalini and things that make your brain wings, energetic wings, tailbone. They really ground shit out of themselves. It's the central computer point that connects everything in your body. So if they can disrupt that, then they can have a chess move in the future. It depends on why. You can like read their intention. I read their intention. I can teach people how to do all this. What they're doing, what's their purpose? Are they just stealing something? They want something, or are they trying to target a person, limit a greater ability from turning on, or steal that ability? Yeah, the back is very targeted for various reasons. And it's fun tuning into the reasons why and what are the abilities that come online when they're not targeted anymore. and I'm really good at releasing back pain. So feel free to contact me about that. And we can tune into yours next when you're done with the questions.
Sorry, what?
We can tune into your back pain after you're done asking the other questions.
Oh, I think the other question I think a lot of people have is when they are starting, because I mostly do beginners, people who are interested to come back to spirituality. What is some of the things, or what is some of the pieces of advice that you would give someone that is new to this, to like what to look out for, what they can start out with trying to discover some aspects about themselves?
That's a nice question. It depends on what they're passionate about and what direction they want to go into. Because I'd follow that your passion, your love, your joy, your happiness shows you more about yourself. It's different than other people. Like some people are into pirates, some people are into the ocean, some people are into the forest. Like, where do you want to live? Where's your dream house? Like, start interviewing yourself. What's your plan for life? What do you love to do? What would you love to do as a career? This all paints a picture about yourself and who you are, emanating from your heart. That's much different as an answer than other people. Where do you want to travel to? What place is calling you like home? Things that trigger you, things that make you cry in movies, that soul tears tell you about yourself, things that trigger big emotions. They all have purpose and meaning. It's a reason why, and you can meditate and analyze them and ask questions in psychological archaeology, and going deeper to the core with the questions. If it has to do with targeting and your abilities, what's being targeted? Is it the solar plexus? Are you being drained of energy all the time? And chronic fatigue syndrome, which I'm really good at. I used to have that, and now I mastered it, and then have infinite energy whenever I want. I can turn all these negative emotions into power, which is lovely. And so anything they send at me just makes me stronger. It goes into who you are and this destiny that you have and your potential and things that come more easy to you. And these cool, rare candy store of powers you have within, waiting to feel safe enough to shine outward. Dreams that you have, animals, dragons, mythological stuff, ET that calls you. This all like share the things you're oriented to, point you in a bit more of a direction than yourself. There's so much to choose from. So it's kind of like what comes to mind is like a test they gave to the Dalai Lama, or the old true Dalai Lama, before they planted a new one, where they would have a guy in a lineage keep reincarnating, and they have a test of like thousands of toys. He picks out like a few, or like 3 or something, and if he picks the right toys, then he remembers that they were his toys in previous lifetimes, and it goes into confirming that they're the reincarnation of that being. So out of like all these options and the plethora of life, it shows you more of who you are in the map as you find out who you are. And then with each targeting, that as you figure out why they're targeting, who's targeting, what they're targeting, that paints a bigger picture of what you're meant to do and how this system of suppression is suppressing you, and follow what they don't want you to do. And they're trying to control and orient and blow past that cage. And usually that leads to really good things, amazing, beautiful things. Like I've had big destiny things that changed my entire life. And right before, I got suicide programs that would have made me I just want to stay in bed the whole day. I don't really know if I could do that thing. If I resolved it in meditation, in hours right before the event. It's like, I really need to do this event, and then I did it, and then changed my life. Some people just let it overcome them like a wave. So if you instead of letting the wave thrash over you, controlling your life, you use the wave to teach yourself how to become the best surfer.
So I have a question for you. This mostly stems for people in the SSP. How do you know what is a cover memory and what is an actual memory? I have my own philosophy on this when I talk to people, but I would like to get your philosophy on how you help people to identify like what's a cover memory and what's an actual memory.
That's a good question. Memory is hard, but I'm actually diving to it quite heavily. So I'm like going through the whole mystery school because I want to master memory psionics, and because it leads to so many things. It's so powerful and important. It's one of the more targeted things on the planet. Because if you remember who you are, you kind of just blow past all their bullshit. Um, so yeah, and there's a lot. There's a lot of things people deal with: memory suppressing system, memory theft, memory wipes, covers, amnesia barriers. The screen memories, as far as I can tell, they have a kind of repelling system that makes you not want to focus on them and like go to other things. So it's hard to do it on your own unless it's like really obvious that there's something weird going on there. I don't have too many of those. Um, they're using a lot of other things from me, but from what I've heard from other people, it's there'll be inconsistencies, weird things in the story, things calling them back. There'll be a part of your soul that knows that it's a cover memory and wants you to go back to it, but then also gets repelled. So that a lot of it would be internal analyzing, but your body can tell. It would be using deception, hijacking the ego, messing with its ability to interpret, getting it in self defeation. So a lot of it can be overcome by understanding the ego and the shadow self, and resolving those. So the shadow self defeating body, like this, called through the process of ego death, shadow death, or evil death, where it's like a big parasite that is programmed negatively by external forces and does a bunch of self-defeating things to steal your stuff, suppress you, orient certain behaviors, trigger things, all kinds of self-defeating stuff. And then healing those bodies, shrinking down that parasite, cutting it off from the source of power it has, and then getting rid of and collapsing out of existence your self-defeating processes and flipping it to being self-supportive. And the ego getting it to like you and fall in love with you and being supportive again and getting it out of the control of external forces, which is a long process because it's one of the biggest things to resolve, because the ego quarantines all negative things first coming in and attaching to you to try to prevent it from going deeper to the soul as a survival mechanism. As the soul branches off the mind and consciousness, which branches off the ego, which branches off altars and these compartmentalization chambers for trauma and trapped emotions and negative programming that come in and attach and mess with us. And so we got to resolve all those boxes and take care of all these things that are limiting us, which is outside of our sovereignty. Like anything external, that usually imprints onto the ego outside of our sovereignty. So the more we pay attention to our ego and give it what it needs, love and purification, and bringing it to harmony, that resolves it and get it all nice and happy when and not overwhelmed. When the ego is overwhelmed, it gets chatty, overwhelm and heaviness on the heart, and it steals energy. When it's free and more pure and you're giving it all that love and intention, it gets silent in the mind, generate tons of power, and it helps protect you to generate more. And the heart feels lighter and lighter and lighter, and more of the higher self comes in the body, because the ego is part of the lower self, which as you resolve it, it frees up and merges with the higher self so that more of your greater higher self can come in the body and does automatically what the ego needed through survival to learn to protect you.
So Trying to think of some other questions to ask you. So, what is some of the ways that people can contact you for your website? Can you explain some of the stuff that you do for your business, like what you can help people? Um, I also would like to ask you about DNA activation because that's new to me. I was just like wondering, like, if you could give like a explanation about what DNA activation is for some of our viewers, especially for me and stuff. But you can also talk about like what you do for your business because we're gearing towards the end of our interview. But you can go ahead and like advertise what you do for your work for your business.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate that, and I'll want to have you on for an interview as well on my side. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's PsionicLeague.com. That's in this little, just right here. Yeah, there's a lot of free videos for people to look through and blueprints of people demonstrating superhuman abilities that your subconscious will download the blueprint and you can start bringing it together. But I have a lot of videos that explain abilities for free, so people can go through that gauntlet. It's fun. And you can start getting an idea of like the plethora of things that I've translated, and I build off of all these smaller abilities to build bigger abilities, and then keep going each time. I put up products on my membership site people can get that are cheap, that teach a bunch of abilities on a whole lesson, that they can get everything they need for it. I do workshops and courses so people can email me if they're interested in that. I'll send them to the Telegram group of any time we're doing a mystery school and teaching all the rare, interesting stuff. I do these tours around the planet. Like soon we're going to do one around Mexico to go to the different pyramids, align with the will and intention of the spirits of the area, and give them what they need in the order they need from the foundation up of to activate the machine of their spiritual nature to be more and more alive and capable and expansive in helping the planet as like a nodal point, place of power and chakra. Once you give them what they need, they reward you with tons of abilities and superpowers. It's wonderful. And I know how to do it to where nobody gets hurt, and it's wonderful and beautiful. And it's a very expansive experience. Last time we did it in Egypt when we went around, collected a bunch of superpowers and did a little mystery school. It was awesome. And I wanted to activate especially superhuman love to the point where love can overwhelm anything coming at you, which is one of my favorite abilities. Let's see. I'll also be going to this conference with you.
The full disclosure now conference. Yeah, me and Sean are going to it, and I thought I would go ahead and advertise it that if you want to meet Sean or me in person, there's still tickets for people who want to go. There's also live stream tickets for people who want to go to the full disclosure now and stuff. But I'm really excited to go down to Florida. It'll be my first time. It'll be my first time speaking at a conference. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're going to be speaking. It'll be so interesting. From what I've heard with what you're speaking, it's brilliant. So thank you for doing that and being brave. And especially with any targeting that would be wanting to stop this and the censorship on the Facebook. Yeah, I also do consultations, so you can ask whatever you want. You can solve all your problems, any trauma. I also help people with suicidal programs, read into their dormant abilities, their soul family, Cashapp records, things in their soul, their DNA, rare abilities. You get very empowered. It's beautiful. I can help you become more powerful than most people around you very quickly, and go into what you're needing to be doing, as well as I activate abundance, and get rid of money curses and blocks and all that, and heal and release pain. And and I do a really cheap, like $50 healing clearing that has worked well for people. Some were like, I don't want to like name anyone, but like some people are like near death or suicidal, and like their doctor doesn't says they won't last through the night. I've been able to heal and get them out the door, as well as people that were getting attacked by demons to where they're killing people around them, which is crazy. But yeah, if they steal enough of the person's parts, they can get very in depth in personal reality. Not for everyone though; they have to steal your stuff. With just that, I was able to help them get back on their feet, and they're fully confident, which is lovely because that gives me a good marker stone to how far I've come from when I started. And with your question with DNA activation, yeah, I can do this for people. So a lot of people have very rare DNA. We are kind of crazy what humans are. It's oh my god, we're like a super hybrid of 10,000 plus species on average, but then everyone's got like their rare individual stuff that they chess move through time and observation when they're out of incarnation to like see, oh, here's the options that I have before me to incarnate. Oh, that's got that rare stuff that I needed. Oh, that completes that. And that's a cool family to come into, and their plans and karma and remedy and all that. You beyond what the 20 or whatever it is, 23andMe or whatever, that's like hijacked by China to collect people's DNA. I go into going into your DNA lineage and the far back lineages, the relic species, the mythological beings, the things are accumulating as a DNA library, the things that came in DNA light body integration because of who you are, the activations, the abilities, the mystery school, the ancestors that want to talk to you in there. And it's like a machine, and the hardware and the software, and then linking it up so it empowers like an antenna that receives that greater amount of consciousness, that power, empowerment, accumulation, and then it starts to initiate abilities and transfer that to you. And then capabilities, knowingness, unfolding greater layers of growth in what people call ascension, and freeing their perception, because as scientists and epigenetics have gone into, as you're producing more love, you're more in your space of who you are, and you receive more of the consciousness of who you are, because you're not just in your body. And with self-receptor cells and the antenna of the DNA, we are in this field, and the self-receptor cells are tuned for your specific frequency of consciousness. And you are way more than just in your body, and not a lot of people have a lot of it in their body, but you can get more of it to express in your body, which goes with increase in density, which people talk about, which comes with more capability and power and abilities.
So I have one more last question to ask you before we wrap up the show, and I ask this with all my guests. Is there any last messages or any pieces of advice that you want to give out to the audience that are new to this, or any type of pieces of advice that you want to give to people that might help them or anything?
Yeah, I like that. I like that you do that. Thank you. Your truest, greatest self is already there inside your heart. And a lot of it's getting rid of all that's not it. And don't let those heavinesses and those downfalls and those overwhelms get you down and stop you from moving forward to your goal. Define your dream, define who you are and what you want to become, and be proud of especially who you're gonna become, and work towards that every day. Write it out, and then write the steps and build towards that, and step by step by step, eventually you will get there, and you will look back and be proud, like, whoa, what I did. And write it, journal every day. And you wrote yourself in this reality, you can write yourself to the new one you prefer, and you can overcome anything. Everything that you come up against, the universe grants you the power deep within you to overcome it. And you got to reach in and take it.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for showing up and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your website. If anybody wants to book a session with with him. I linked his website and his contact info below. So if people want to go and check out his website, it's there for them. Also, his contact information is there too if you want to book a session with him. My contact info is in my YouTube profile. So if anybody wants to get a hold of me after the show, it's there. But I just want to say thank you so much for showing up. I'd love to have you back on the show again if you would like to. But I'll hopefully be able to see you at the conference. But thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have fun. I also want to have you on, and then I'll go full into interviewing you, so it'll be fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.